Bobby. Good morning to you and all the fans there as well. Oh, sorry that we're going to be looking at this morning. Take Sunday go on call for international support to help peaceful dissolution of the British Union called Nigeria. Some of my guests will call them, my listeners call them Nigeria. Because they reckon that it wasn't formed on a good note. And I said after that program last week on the Niger Voices, which I want to invite you to the next one that's going to be taking place next week, Wednesday. I had the privilege of learning how the formation of Nigeria came about. Now the people think that, you know what, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have even listened to all that community that was going on. And what do you think is the way forward? 578 days strike, angry lectures, dumping varsities, as you lament. But of course, they will now love to maybe look for another job elsewhere, get themselves involved in other activities that they think that it will better their lives than what they may be going through at the moment. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Okay. At this juncture, I can tell you assuredly that we got the one and only, and still the reigning champion, the White Lion himself, Miko Iki, and okay, once he gets himself ready to come your way. Well, Prince Abimbola says, Yoruba nation has come to stay. No going back. I want one sound, I want one voice. But let's our voices unto God. Okay, so let me welcome Mr. Layomi Koiki and say, Yomi, good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers, and good morning to everyone that have joined us this morning once again. It is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and I welcome you to Monday edition, where we kickstart again the beginning of the first week, as we're also going into almost the last week of August. But for now, it is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It is Starr Radio UK, and this is how we do it at the beginning of the week, by giving all the update coming out of Nigeria this morning. Stay tuned and we'll be updating you everything you need to know and what has happened over the weekend in Yoruba land with so much campaign for the Yoruba nation now. But for now, I'll come back again to you, Mr. Archie, back to the studio.
Well, listen, Mr. Lightning for you. Yomi, so how was the weekend then?
Well, the weekend was completely packed, busy as usual, a lot of engagement, a lot of activities, and a lot of meetings, praise and worship that also happened yesterday, and also as spending a very beautiful quality time with the family yesterday when we had a small picnic, just a little bit away from the house. But it's good to be back again, and we're back as usual at about 8 minutes past. How was your own weekend as well?
My weekend was good. I mean, packed with activities as well. I tried to rest, but you know, when we try to rest, we can't rest. We have to be busy just going on. But for the sake of our lovely listeners and the support that they give us, we want to come back and do this job. So it was all good. And listeners, we hope Nigeria didn't happen to you wherever you are. Elizabeth Joseph say, European nation, love you. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. It says,
Yoruba nation, la fe.
How do we pronounce that? Love you.
La fe, la fe, la fe.
La fe.
La fe. La fe. That's what we want. That's exactly what that means.
Oh, okay. And it goes over and says, Mr. Koiki, God will protect you from evil people in Jesus' name. And we say a massive amen for that. All right then. Now, let's come to some of the stories making the rounds. First of all, let's go to the statement that was released by Chief Sunday. I hope that he's doing very well. I always say it, I mean, when I spoke to him, I see a humble person, not somebody who just think that, well, I want to come and rule on people. No. He just wants the best for his people. And I hope that continues. And I really respect him for that. Okay, but But he's saying that, well, he thinks that we need the international support. Now we've been asking. I remember when we took. You said my apologies. The petition was sent around. How many? Signatures do we have for? How many signatures? Do we
About
have?
5 million.
5 million. 5 million signatures, and therefore, definitely, we should have the UN listening into whatever that the Yoruba people are talking about. But it's not calling on for more support from the international front for a peaceful resolution. The question is, how many countries or how many leaders of various countries have come out to say that, look, we think that this is something that is going on in Nigeria and we don't support whatever is going on, but we reckon that something has to be done about it. Can you just tell us exactly about that?
Well, that's a very good question, because what you asked was exactly, I had a privilege to be in a Zoom meeting just yesterday, with the leader of the Yoruba Self-Determination, Professor Banji Akintoye, the emeritus himself. And he spoke, about the good aspect of the Yoruba nation. And, as we continue, to demand, our full right, because the Yoruba people have literally, been taken far back, being part of Nigeria. He also, had a little bit concern, about the abusive, the allegations against each other. And he was not really happy, with that. I mean, he spoke for less than 20 minutes. And you could tell that this is a man that wants, the best, not just for the Yoruba people, but for the best of, the humanity, per se. The other thing is, he then was given opportunity, questions were asked in that meeting. Like I said, this meeting happened just yesterday. And he told us that in diplomatic world, you do not give everything out, especially we still have to remember that as much as the Yoruba people wants to exit Nigeria, we need to understand that Nigeria is still a sovereign nation as we speak right now. And the last thing you want to do is the countries that you're speaking with should be given to the federal government of Nigeria. And that could be a problem, because what literally that means in a diplomatic world today is those countries are working towards the breakup of another sovereign nation. He was then asked, they did say that, they've talked to so many countries and there's a fruitful, the countries that they've spoken to. He was asked again by one of the, those that were in that meeting, that how many countries have we spoken to? He went on and say that again is something that cannot be revealed, because once again, it will be like we are giving, something to the federal government, which we can't do at this particular stage.
Well, let me ask this question, because I know that most of our listeners who are listening to this morning, this morning, will be also asking. Now, what kind of support are they, if somebody was able to ask them, are they expecting? Are they looking at sanctions? Because we look at the war between Ukraine and Russia, and the international world or the Western world are placing sanctions on them to force their hands for them to act in a particular way. So what kind of support are they, hoping to get from these other international countries and bodies?
Well, the first thing you will expect is, recognition. Let us remember that, this particular nation that we are talking about is not new nation. It's not something that just, popped up from the, from the popcorn in the oven. Yoruba nation has been a country of its own, before the amalgamation. That was a mistake. And, even in the letter that I've been reviewing, recently, by the Professor Banji Akintoye. Remember, a letter was sent out on the 6th of August. And, in my review of that letter, it takes me back to what, the former Prime Minister, the late Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa said himself. Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa also once said that during a visit to the University College in Ibadan in 1964, just 4 years after the independence of Nigeria, the toughest part of Nigerians' insurmountable problem was the fact that the three largest Black African nations, the Yoruba, Hausa Fulani, and the Igbo, each of which should be a separate country, were being forced together in one country. Even Sir Ahmadu Bello, the foremost leader of the northern Nigeria before and after independence, once described the amalgamation of 1914 as the mistake of 1914. So the question that you did ask is, what kind of support, would, Professor Banja Akintoye or Chief Mrs. Dukwe Onitiri Abiola will be asking from international community. It's just about the recognition, of this particular kingdom, so that by the time, the declaration will come true, then this country would understand that we are not creating any more problem. We are just creating what was there prior to the British, invasion of the slavery, then eventually turned Nigeria into what is known today by Lugard. Lugard eventually was working as the governor administrator, and he actually, with his girlfriend, decided that the northern part of Nigeria was not making any profit for this, for the British Empire as at the time. And he decided that the best option was to amalgamate, but not thinking about the future, consequence of that. And that is today, you're hearing the word Yoruba nation now, and it's not something that is now, it is something that was there before the British invasion and the amalgamation that was said mistake of 1914.
Mistake of 1914. Let me say good morning to Miss Code. Hey, he said amen. Oh, Miss Code. Yeah, thank you very much for that information. He was telling me 5 million signatures was gathered. And among you all, should you guys say, good morning, Miss Archie and Mr. Koigi. Both of you are looking bright this morning. And how I wish everyone is looking fine like that wherever they are. That is going to happen as well. And let me hear a big amen for that. Adimbambo Anthony Paul says, Equator Olotu. Oloran. Okay, there's a lot of it. I think Joby will help me on that front. That is on the YouTube. And then along the say is giving a hat out unto us as well. And I did that your Adeshola says, good morning, Mr. Archie and Mr. Koiki. God bless you. God bless you all. And thank you very much. And continue to keep your dials long on Starr Radio, okay? If your comments coming through, I'll do my best to read them all out there. Now let's come back to the statement that came from Chief Sunday Igboho. So now, what are the plans now? Because a few of the countries might have been approached, a few of the international bodies. We're talking about the UN, we're talking about the Commonwealth, which Nigeria is part of, and some other bodies. What have they? Well, you know that they didn't give all the details, but have they approached those bodies? Because the UN is one that it recognizes a country, then that means that a group of people, that means that you're on the path to get into that place. So what has the UN said, or what has been the response from that?
Well, let's go to these letter that Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho released with his spokesman last week, which is just Friday. And this is what he actually said. He's actually writing a letter again, just to back, similar letter that Professor Banja Akintoye wrote to the president, to tell the president, that it is time to negotiate the Yoruba people peacefully out of Nigeria, calling for international support to see peaceful dissolution of the British Union called Nigeria. And it goes like this quickly. We'll probably not be able to read everything, but we take a little bit out of it. At 18 minutes past 11, you're watching Starr Radio UK. This is the statement by Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho. I want to issue this communique to the world community. I study the forest and see that a tree doesn't make the forest. I study the jungle and saw that all kinds of animals make the jungle kingdom. At this particular point, when my people, Yoruba, is going through the most difficult time, I cannot appreciate the effort of the world to organize itself better than the jungle. I study how League of Nations became United Nations and the reason why they exist. I study some of the international covenants. I am impressed. Furthermore, the role the superpowers are playing in the stability of this world, and it is us, very commendable country like US, Russia, China, UK, France, their role as Security Council and so on. And since the Second World War, they have recorded more success in promotion of peace and avoidance of war in this, our world. I want to now speak the indulgence of the establishment and the world at large to please come to our aid. We Yoruba people want to pull out of this British-made union called Nigeria. This is the time, and the world bodies should not ignore these callings in order to avoid bloodshed. The country Nigeria was coined by the British colonial power more than 100 years ago, forcing together three major nations, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba, Today, none of these nations is thriving. Fulani that came into the scene with sneaky name Hausa Fulani as a man has managed to seize total control of everything with the help of many nations called the Northern Nigeria and their greedy politicians from the Southern Nigeria. Today, the world knows Nigeria is a failed state. It is no longer exists. Economy is dead and can never be revived. Security is worse than even war zone like Ukraine. At least in Ukraine, you know the war zone and the civilian zone. In Nigeria, everywhere is war zone and no one is safe. And just to bring it down, finally, and it says, we want our Yoruba nation back as we are no more interested in Nigerian Union anymore. We need the word help. Thank you. So this communique, that Chief Sunday Igboho is just kind of an appeal to the world community to look into his communique as this is on behalf of my people. I also want the whole world to ignore what the Fulani government and our politicians are telling them as it is all cover up. The world saw that the crowd that he pulled during the peaceful rally that he did, last year before the federal government of Nigeria made assassination attempt on the life. The crowd is true reflection of the wish of the Yoruba people. The election continuity is just a false view to the world by the federal government of Nigeria. So you can see that, is actually using this communique once again, to tell the international community that the best option that we have right now, looking at everything that we have, that it will be of the interest that they should not allow Nigeria to be a breeding ground for the next terrorists. Rather, Nigeria should be allowed to dissolve just as the Soviet Union did in 1991, where if you look at the fight between Anthony Joshua and Ulysky, you realize that Ulysky, like I said, was only 4 years old when Soviet Union decided to break apart. And today, at 35 years old, his glory has been able to shine. So this letter, again, is just to avoid any more bloodshed or any kind of war that took place, in the past. And that can be stopped only if the international community would listen to him, just as they will listen to 5 million, the Yoruba people that have literally said they've had enough of being part of the fake union that was put together by the British government in 1914. And if you look at what he said in terms of that rally, that again is coming up on the screen right behind you. And this was last year. This is the mammoth crowd that pulled out when Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho literally came out for that mega rally before the one that was planned in Lagos was pulled down. I listened carefully to what Professor Banja Akintoye said, and from the indicator, it looks like Lagos should be preparing for the mega rally where it might be coming up soon.
Well, listen, it's interesting times. We're going to be coming to some other issues pertaining to this story, but let me acknowledge a couple of people. Pastor Emmanuel Chidi, thank you very much for your support. Those of you listening to us on the Facebook, thank you, and watching us there. But I have Adebambo Anthony Paul. He said, "Well done, my brother. You are looking shiny this morning. White Lion, I think you rested too much over this weekend. Now, Lord, you say you guys are doing a great job. Kudos to both of you over there." Now, Elizabeth Joseph says, "I stand with you Sunday Igboho 1 million times, and Baba Akintoye 1 million times, and Mama Wa Onitiri Abiola 1 million times with a heart." I mean, of course, they are championing the whole case, so you have to support them, and that's why I'm saying. I keep on saying that if you believe in the cause, you hold on to it, you die for it, you fight for it until you die for it, until you get whatever you want. Maybe you will not get it, but you know that your children will get whatever you are fighting for. So let's keep on fighting. Okay. Now let me ask you about this letter that Professor Akintoye penned to the federal government. What has been their reaction so far? Because earlier we were thinking, it was early days, so we've not had any reaction. We had the president, talking about one Nigeria and all that stuff. Now, what has been the response from the federal government, if any?
Well, not anything official that we can link to, the federal government, because official would mean it will definitely come, from the spokesman of the president, whether Shehu Gaba or, Femi Adesina, but nothing of such, and none of our leaders have actually said they've got a response back. But they've actually given the federal government up to the 30th of September. What will be next after 30th of September? Nobody knows. But one thing is, countdown is where we are today. If you look at today being the 22nd of August, that means we're just literally about 6 weeks away before that deadline will happen. What would happen after the deadline? Like I said, we will definitely be communicating that, when we have that.
Okay, so they give the presidency or the federal government up to the 30th of September. Now we have the Senate also threatening the federal government once again that they have to see to the security of the nation. If not, they were giving them 6 weeks to do so. Now, what has been the reaction from that front? If you have any there
well,
as well?
I guess the 6 weeks will last. If I'm right, it was only just. And that news was actually picked up by almost all the network news across the globe. I mean, I think, that actually popped up on the 29th of July because I'm even looking at CNN actually picked it up. And the headline the CNN used at the time was Impeach President Buhari over Nigerians mounting security issues, opposition Senator Oaks. Are they going to have, the boldness to continue after 6 weeks? Or they'll probably just a mouthwash, just as we've seen, each of these senators. They are currently on leave as we speak right now because the Senate is completely, on vacation. So, but 6 weeks should probably last. If that letter was ignited on the 29th of July, based on this, headline, by the 29th of this month, we should be looking at close to that 6 weeks. So we will wait and see, probably maybe the second week of September, if there will be any kind of reaction from the senator. Let's us remember that even the senator representing, part of the APC are those also clamoring that Buhari should be impeached.
Well, listen, this is Starr Radio UK. So I'm Nico in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South Studios, and we are looking at updates from Nigeria. Now let's come to 578-day strike. Angry letters, dumping universities, ASU laments. Eventually, if I think that the field of work that I'm in is not giving me whatever, I might look for another job opportunity, something to give me the money and the peace that I want. So what is that story about, sir?
Well, you're quite right. It's quite sad that the Nigerian students are the one going through, this very, very tough, difficult time in Nigeria today. I mean, we have 60% of the youth, and majority of those 60% that are meant to be at the university or polytechnic or any of the institution are currently nowhere, than sitting out at home. I mean, I'm not sure what they've been doing, maybe learning a new trade or trying to travel out of the country, as so many would love to, and jackpot like, the normal language of an average Nigerian, this morning. 578-day strikes, angry lecturers are now dumping the university and probably thinking of other options. The Academic Staff Union of the university has now raised the alarm over the exodus of lecturers from the nation's university for greener pasture abroad. I was actually reviewing back, if you remember my guest on Wednesday at the second part of the Niger Voices, we were talking about, GDP, and how, services is part of, lecturers. And, during those days, we have lecturers from Ghana that will come to study, train, Nigerian student, because I remember that we had a Ghanaian teacher as an extra lesson when I was in Nigeria, in those primary school days. But today, even the doctors, as I've actually, some of them would love to leave Nigeria. It now also seems now that exodus of lecturers might be dumping Nigeria, trying to get abroad to wherever they can, even to the nearest African countries. The union is now attributed the development to the federal government, poor treatment of its members, which is said had forced many to venture into other sorts of livelihood. Imagine a lecturer that loves to lecture, probably end up selling something. I don't know what they might be doing, but what we can say is even in the midst of the bad economy of Nigeria today, I'm not sure whether they can survive, looking for something else, because those that have a small scale business will eventually have been, defeated by the poor, policy. Even the vice president said similar thing last week in one of our updates when he says that it was a very difficult one, to get, businesses and policy work, when it comes to different, bottleneck on the parastatal in Nigeria today.
Wow. Let me say good morning to Shamsuddin. Thank you very much for joining us once again. And he said, God bless Yoruba Nation. God bless the nation now. Yoruba Nation It's what we want, and God bless you all. Samsudin, good morning once again. And Pastor Emmanuel Chidi, thank you very much. Odra Chide, it says, Eku Eto. Yes, Eku Eto to you as well. I hope you are doing very, very well. But it's all Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 11:30. And we are looking at updates from Nigeria. What happened to you over the weekend? Hope Nigeria didn't happen to you. And wherever you are, hope that things are taking along nicely. Now, pertaining to the ASU strike and everything that's going on, has the government done any presentation to them for the ASU to say that we are not happy with the presentation, or maybe they don't like what the government was presenting at all, or what has happened on that front?
Well, I mean, the government is actually, doing a lot of engagement, with the ASU to try to resolve this problem. But it seems, for whatever reason, this arrangement, this agreement, is not coming up. And I think the government have actually failed in some of its own responses as well. Even though, it's quite a very difficult one, especially a country that is not producing so much. That means, we are probably not getting a lot of income from the forex that is coming back into the country. If you look at Nigeria today, our reliance has always been on the crude oil. Even though the crude oil price have gone up a little bit, since the problem between Russia and Ukraine, but it doesn't seem to be having a ripple effect back into the economy of Nigeria today, because of so many issues surrounding, the insecurity. The other sector that the government thought they will probably use, to create more revenue will probably be the agriculture. But when it comes to services like the insurance and other sector, just as my guest said during the Niger Voices on Wednesday, we do not have those such things. And that means today, the government do not have about 1 trillion naira, I think thereabout, that the lecturers might be needing to get them back to the university. But in terms of arrangements, maybe to pay them, something and allow them to go back, but that doesn't seem to be working. And that is now creating a lot of pressure on the Nigerian students that have now sat at home. But a lot of them are saying, we will deal with this government during 2023. And the question is, will there ever be a 2023? As more news when it comes to a kind of a news like this, where a terrorist kingpin, 2G, has now repented. He now kills terrorists, says Zamfara deputy governor.
Well, if you're a terrorist, it didn't really do. Go and kill one terrorist, and they say, he's repented, he's cool, he's now with us. Maybe he's just sacrificing that person to have the chance to do whatever he wants to do. Oh, wow. Let's start in the UK. Let me quickly acknowledge Yoruba Ogo Adulawo TV. All of you there, we say massive good morning to you. It's a Yoruba nation now, no going back. And in that, Adeda Bambo, Anthony Paul says, Odudua nation have come to stay, no going back. Let your comments come through. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. 11:33 the time. Let's go back to Yomi for some of the other stories making the rounds. Over to you, Yomi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Archie. And if you've joined us for the first time, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, where we take you through the news headline from Nigeria from 11 o'clock Monday to Friday. And these are some of the other headlines coming out of Nigeria. Gunmen, my father-in-law, and kidnapped the Catholic priest. Is coming from one of the headlines this morning. Ex-minister foundation get tax deductible certificate raises 200 million. Lekki Deep Sea Port will create 112,000 jobs. Is coming from the headline. A very sad one. Coming from Lagos. 2 children died in a Lagos building collapse. We've seen that continuously, and we hope the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu will do as much when it comes to some of the buildings that probably need to have been brought down rather, because of their the strength of those buildings, and a lot of these houses that are built in Lagos. I remember before traveling some 2 decades ago, you probably wake up one morning and you realize that a house that was not there had become 5-story building with no space in terms of ventilation as well. Not a very good news, as 137 directors failed test to become a school principal. Back in the days, you respect the principal of any secondary school because what they've gone through. But it doesn't seem to be what we have today. No fewer than 137 persons of the 344 civil servants on the directorate cadre jostling to be appointed as principals of nation's 110 unity schools across the country have actually failed the examination that was organized by the Federal Ministry of Education. And that tells you how bad the education is. Sometimes when you look at the education sector, I was actually watching some video recently where, NYSC, you will expect people that have completed the university being asked to tell 6:15, 9:15, and the kind of word that's coming out from their mouth, you wonder maybe they should return back to at least secondary school GSS1.
Wow, you don't think that?
Oh yes, I mean they were asked 6:15, and we see if we can get the video maybe before the end of it's just unbelievable, and the real reason is it shows how bad the education sector has been, and it still goes back again to Nigeria being a big country. You cannot deal with all this problem, so the best option is let's allow Nigeria to dissolve so that we can deal with education, we can deal with economy, we can deal with insecurity, and we will not be getting such an headline from a state governor saying that a repentant terrorist is now helping them to kill terrorists. It can only happen in Nigeria.
Wow. I'll come back to you, but I don't know. Adevambo says that Yoruba Nation is the answer. No more staying with Nigeria. I think that, like you was saying, that it looks like Nigeria is too big a country for the leaders to be able to control it. And they think that it's a matter of just break it, and let everybody, make it manageable for everybody to control whatever their resources and their people and their everything. But what has the education minister or ministry said about this? Because if those who are supposed to be instructing, teaching people are failing woefully, then why are you come to teach me? You don't know. What are you coming to actually come and teach me? What have they said?
Well, you're quite right. I think when I was in secondary school, the most important person that you respect more is the principal of the school. And if we now have, people that are, want to just do for the principal of a school, but they have failed the exam, that shows a lot, in the problem. The federal government has now decided that from 2022 to 2023 academic session, those to be appointed principals of schools must have taken part in a competent-based test and emerged successful. What we've seen in the past, like we said, and this is a deliberate act, just as history was deliberately removed from all the schools so that nobody knows, where Nigeria is coming from and where it is today. Just as we have that almost everybody, pay to get into one place, whether a civil servant, has paid himself or herself, to become, a staff of that particular position. And just as a lot of people are praying that Nigeria doesn't break up, because a breakup of Nigeria will show the competence of so many things that that you can probably not even think of. We're talking about schools here in UK where you would not go into any school if you don't have a CRB check. But today we see all sorts. You would not be getting building collapse. There's so much pressure in Nigeria today that each of the state governor, the local government and the federal cannot deal with, and there's not enough resources to go around, and this is creating a lot of poverty, abject poverty, for so many Nigerians this morning at Star Radio UK 11:38 a.m.
Yes, there are a lot of reactions there, so let me quickly bring that. But I will ask you a question. Do you mean to say that there's no history lessons in Nigeria? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, that was removed. Most states are now trying to bring it back, but for a very long time, I'm talking about almost, a decade plus, that was deliberately removed, from the curriculum. And the reason for that is, imagine if everybody knows their history, a lot of these, campaign for dissolution of Nigeria and who we are, would definitely not be something that we would have been aware of. But what they did was, I was actually looking at a particular family in America that have now used their their own heritage, but those heritage is something that we have been that have been bastardized in a way that it is only now that people are now literally coming back. But like I said, most states now are trying to bring it back, but that was removed for a very long time.
Wow, what is it saying that if you don't know where you are coming from, that if you don't know your history, you won't know where you are going to. Interesting. Well, I will be going to Yomi in a moment, but Adebambo says all those principals are Fulani because they refuse to go to school because they have godfather. So godfather will send them there. Felicia Adeyanju says a Yoruba nation, Lolese, okay, Lolese, or Yoruba nation now. See, aha. Yes, thank you very much for your comments. I promise you, when it comes to now reading, if I make a mistake, Yomi will correct me in there. All right, then. So let's go back to, okay, there's been another, there's a couple of other. Shegun Solomon says, good morning to you, brother White Lion. More strength for you. Has been a long day. I have not listened to your show. Now, more blessed for you and your family, sir. My regards to Chief Sunday Igboho. And Adibambo says that our lives is very important. We Yoruba, but Fulani government has started to kill we Yoruba just because he wants his family to take over Nigeria. But would that happen? Would the 2023 election even come on at all? Or are they going to just use the ploy of insecurity to say, emergency orders, and then they'll keep everybody at bay, nobody going anywhere? What do you think is going to happen? Let's go to Yomi for some of the other stories. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, let's go. What is trending on the social media this morning? Quite a lot. As we do know, Ambode is trending. Ambode is trending at number 8. He was the former governor of Lagos State. Not sure whether he's planning to also return back into the politics ring this morning. Quite a lot. Bibi Ninja is trending at number 5. I would love to see what is why Ambode is trending. And let's take a look at it. According to at Okoro_Collins, it is obvious you don't read news, just posting rubbish. Ambode is challenging Tinubu to appear on a national TV to dispute the fact that he never initiated a single project while in office, if not for toll gate, and his removal from office for not paying him $5 million monthly. So it seems, what we are getting is, there's probably a bit of toss between Ambode and Tinubu, because they had a big loghead. You'll expect that he would have supported Ambode to come back as the next governor for a 2-term, but rather he did not do so, and that was the reason why Ambode was removed as the governor of the APC representing Lagos State. And the last person here says, since 1999, only Akim Ambode lifted the face of Lagos to a brighter development, even in the remote part of Lagos. Take it or leave it. This is coming from at ID Electrons, as we say. So it seems again that a lot of people believe that Ambode did a very good job while he was the governor of Lagos State, as while Tinubu removed him is a complete different thing entirely. So let's go back and see what more is coming out from Nigeria today. Like I said, there was quite a lot of Yoruba Nation awareness campaign that took place in Lagos yesterday, and not just in Lagos, one happened in Badagry, one happened in Songwater, and there was another one that happened on Saturday in Abeokuta, as more Yoruba people are becoming more, going into the grassroots, peaceful campaign, for the exit out of Nigeria. And let's take a look at what more, other news before we complete this headline coming out of Nigeria this morning on the social media. Quite a lot, discussion on the social media. Apparently, Charlie Boy, I'm sure you know him, paid a courtesy visit to Obasanjo over the weekend. And what he said, they had a lunch yesterday with Baba OBJ as usual. Now, Nigeria leadership and the youth, we they talk about for hours. Nigeria youth, we they in a hand. So it seems that I've listened to the clip. In as much as we saw Tinubu visited Obasanjo some over the weekend, but apparently it seems Obasanjo is trying to keep himself away from the narratives of that visit. And the last one is Momo says, we are starting open field cinemas in all rural areas of Nigeria. Most people in the rural area rarely watch movies and actually do love such. They see such and they gather in their hundred to watch. We will project POL and LP before each movie and after. Also get their data for follow-up. Getting their data is something that I'm sure a lot of people will be, especially when election is coming, taking things to the rural area at this particular time. And the last one is coming from Joseph C. Okechukwu. While we are all venting and gloating over potential Peter Obi presidency, the CPC cabal in the APC has reportedly taken over INEC, recruiting loyalists ahead of 2023 elections. Those are the guys who will call the shots. Nothing makes sense in Nigeria, but freedom will this time.
Well, freedom too. Miss Gold says that will never happen. We will fight to the last man standing. And then Miss Gold continues and said, nobody can take over our land. We will defend our land with the last blood in our vein. Now, what do you think? Or what would you do? It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. And Adebambo says, Starr Radio UK, please help us Sorosoke up to United Nations.
Speak up. Yoruba. Speak up to United Nations, Sorosoke.
Oh, okay. We Yoruba are no more staying with Nigeria. Let them come now to break Nigeria. Yoruba Nation, Biafra, and Hausa. Of course. If it's not working, if you go marry and you've done everything, you sacrifice and it's not working, what do? Do you sit there till they kill you in the marriage? I will tell you that you are a big fool. My apologies for this morning using that kind of word, but that is exactly what will happen. And therefore, we'll just call that, look, it's better for you to go your separate ways to be alive and be safe. So what is happening in Nigeria? What do you think? We want to know more about that. But before we go, Yomi.
Well, you still have Archie to take you through the last segment of this program. I'll be on again tomorrow at exactly 11 o'clock. Make sure you stay tuned. And remember to follow us on all the social media handle on Starr Radio UK. But the best way to do so is to download the app so that every Monday, in case you don't find me on the other network, you will definitely find me here discussing all the updates coming out of Nigeria. Have a very good week ahead. And like I always say, may Nigeria never happen to any one of us. And as we also remember, so many people that are going through difficulties in Nigeria this morning. Once again, Mr. Archie, I say very good morning to you and Frank and the rest of the team. I'll be back again same time tomorrow and speak to you at the end of the program.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Laimiko again. But Moses Olaniran says, Archie and Yomi, well done, my guys. We're gonna fight the Lucifer called Fulani Hausa Fulani Caliphate Cloud tribe. And then Miss Go said, divorce is the only solution when marriage is.
All right, that's about it. As usual, I got a lot to do this morning. I wanted to come out tele, but I have to do some few things. So that means our afternoon broadcast would probably have to be shifted because Omodua needs my engagement this morning. And as they always say, as much as we want a Yoruba nation, I have to deal with the family come first. So I'll be back later on, maybe when I'm back, depending on the time. If I don't come back early, be rest assured that we will have our late night conversation. But for now, I definitely have to go because I have a lot to do, with the family. My name is Olamiko Iki. Yoruba nation will happen. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Some of you, okay, I gotta go now because it's even an important call that is coming through. Have a very good afternoon. Bye for now.